Now, sometimes you may start with a mixed radical and want to move to an entire radical. I'm going to continue off from the previous example numbering, just so we don't lose track. So let's say we have 3 root 5, and I want to turn it into an entire radical. So what I would say is 3 squared, it's going to be, so 3 is the same thing as the square root of 3 squared times the square root of 5, which is the square root of 9 times the square root of 5, which, going the other way, root a times root b is the square root of a times b, which is the square root of 9 times 5, which is the square root of 45. So 3 root 5 is the same thing as root 45. Let's say I had a minus 4 root 3. So I'm going to write that as, I'm going to take the minus and write it as a minus 1. So it's going to be minus 1 times 4 times root 3, which is minus 1 times root 16 times root 3. And root 16 times root 3 is going to be root 48, which is minus 1 times the square root of 48, which is minus or negative root 48. So you can go from mixed radicals to entire radicals. We can multiply radicals. Probably pretty much is how you expect it, actually. So if we have the square root of 3 times the square root of 7, that's just the square root of 3 times 7, which is square root of 21. More interestingly, if we have root 6 times root 10, that would be equal to root 60. But we should probably always be, kind of like with fractions where you should always simplify unless told otherwise. You should always simplify radicals if you can, and simplify means bring it to the smallest, I think they call it the radicand. So it's the number under the square root. You want that to be as small as possible. So square root of 60 is going to be root 4 times root 15, which is 2 root 15. So root 6 times 2 root 10 is 2 root 15. Root 7 times root 7. I'm just pointing this out, actually. Root 7 times root 7 is the square root of 49, and the square root of 49 is 7. So the root 7 is is something that's multiplied by itself to give you 7, and then we multiply it by itself, and it gives you 7. That's a generically true thing to keep in mind. Root something times itself is equal to the thing without the root. Example 13. 7 root 5 times 3 root 10. Okay, and now we're going to kind of use that rule over there. So it's going to be 7 times 3 is, well, I'm just going to write it out. It's going to be 7 times 3 times root 5 times root 10, which is 21 root 50, which is 21 root 25 root 2, which is 21 times 5 times root 2. I'm not sure why I put a bracket there, didn't really have to. Which is 21 times 5 is 105. So it's going to be 105 root 2, and that's the answer. So 7 root 5 times 3 root 10 is 105 root 2.